So we have the last conference of the second day of the first edition of the European Cybersecurity Challenge with a very nice guy. He's from Barcelona. His name is Marc Rivero. He's also an expert in security research, and he's focused on malware and also in threat intelligence. So please give a big applause for him. The title of the conference is Rapid Response to Incidents. Interesting. He's the last one of this fourth edition, so let's enjoy with Marc Rivero. Hola, Marc. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Todo tuyo, Marc, y nos vemos de...
All yours, Marc, and we'll see you in 45 minutes, more or less. Ciao.
Okay, thank you to attend the conference. I know it's the last conference in the afternoon, so I know maybe the people is a bit tired, so don't worry about that. The idea of the conference is show some tips and methods to do incident response. I don't know if many people in the room is aware about incident response and which methods and skill sets are necessary to perform investigations and do incident response in big companies and extract so fast some data about which are the people behind the incident, on which are the malicious pieces involved, and so on. So the idea is I will not talk about investigations. I will not talk about many tools. The idea is to give some tips and some methods, some easy methods about how to get easily some data or to arrive so fast to conclusions about which data is in reality important about the lot of data that you can have in an incident response. So let me present myself a bit. My name is Marc Rivero. I'm coming from Barcelona, and I'm focusing in malware analysis and threat intelligence. I have some background as well in e-crime and also in incident response. I was involved in a big global incident response team in a US company. And the idea is in this US company, I was inside the global team with a lot of people working with me and exchanging some data about investigations. And this was the place when I learned a lot about what is an incident response, what is in reality important. It's so different because I come from the forensics area before starting the company, and it's so different have a forensic profile and be at the end an incident response consultant. Well, if we talk about incident response, we need to talk about malware because at the end of the day, all the investigations probably we will find some malware inside the network. If we take some cases from years ago, we have some bad guys using hacking tools like Nmap, Akunetics, SQL Map, and other tools to gain the first access inside the forensic network. And when the people is inside, they probably will start to jump inside the company, jumping over the different servers and infecting or using custom tools to gain some privilege or to capture some username and passwords and another data inside the network. And some of these pieces of tools that they will use, they are probably malware or they created custom malware for the threatmen, and they are causing to the company. If we talk about incident response, we have some all the people that started to study incident response, they probably are aware about this graph. This graph is from a research, an academic paper that talks about incident response. And inside this the diagram, we can see all the different steps inside an incident response investigation. So let's talk about my daily day on the US company. I was in home, seeing my email, seeing which are the stuff that you need to do today, and I got an email from from some people in other countries and say, hey, we have an incident and we need you in 24 or 48 hours here in place. And this place could be any place inside EMEA, so it could be any stuff in Europe, in South Africa, or in Saudi Arabia, and don't matter where are you based from. So you need to be so near in an airport and to take the plane and go to the foreign country and analyze the incident. So in that case, I was in home, and I started to speak with the customer and asked him, hey, what happened? Tell me a bit about the situation. And the customer told me the stuff that he thought is happening in his company, because he don't have any idea about what is happening normally, because if they know what is happening, why they need us? So that's the question that I always did myself. And the idea is I changed some stuff with the customers in the past, and they are pretty aware about what is happening. They know that they have an incident. They don't know which machines can be infected. They don't know if the people is inside already, or they are, or the bad guys just entered, got information, and they are outside. So the idea is, one of the principal jobs of the incident response consultant is know which is the situation, know if the people is inside, and if they are inside, try to investigate or to discover which were the backdoors or the different entrances that they got, and try to stop them using security policies like apply network rules or other type of blocks inside the company, and after that we can start to more or less see how many machines are infected. So the idea is before travel to the company is necessary to get your own tools, and your own tools could be different devices to clone hard drive, different hard disks to copy different image that you can acquire inside the company. Your laptop, of course, don't forget your laptop. Some people arrived to the company, to the foreign country, and they forgot the laptop in his house. So please don't forget the laptop. It's your main tool to investigate the incident. And also, a part of the hardware devices, you need to have your second backup in the team. I mean, you can do, or it's not a recommendation to investigate an incident alone, because as many brains on the investigations, more information or more advices they can give you. The people normally in the incident response team have different skill set. We can have inside the team one guy that is focused on reverse engineer, and other people come from the police, and he's so good, investigating the case, speaking with the people, trying to arrive to conclusions. And other people could be so good in the IT administration, and they can, get evidence so fast if the network is a Windows network. Other people could be so good in the Unix area. So depending on your skill set, it's probably a good advice, a change, which data you found, and a change with your team, and your team can help you, okay? So don't analyze any case alone. The idea after get your tools and be in contact with the team is arrive to the foreign country, to the company, and start to speak with the different people involved in the company. So let's go to speak with the IT department. Let's go to ask, hey, what happened? Tell me a bit about the situation. Because if we have a company that have a lot of teams inside, and the company is so big, they probably have the IT area divided in different teams. So we can have the people that is doing administration on the operating systems, and the people from the network could be other people, and all these teams always hate the security area inside the company, because they don't want the security area in the company don't want to allow to have not a strong policies applied inside the company. So you need to do a bit. You want to say the word psychologist inside the company, and try to be friend of all the people, and don't say anything bad about the other people inside the same company. So the idea after I speak with the people and try to arrive to some conclusions yourself about what happened in the company. You need to start to collect data, and for do that, you need to apply some tools that we will cover during the talk, and some fast ways to get some fast conclusions, to get or to possibly have some clue at the end of the way to arrive to a final conclusion that says, hey, you need to acquire physically this device, or we need to reverse engineer this malware, or whatever you need to do. After make the investigation and analyze the data and so on, we need to create the report, and this is probably the worst part in front of the technical people, but it's so important to document properly not only the final report about the conclusions and about all the findings that you had in your investigation, but also you need to write a daily report that you also will exchange that with the customer, and the customer can see which steps you did every day in the company, which investigation, which conclusions you arrive at, and the customer that knows perfectly the environment, probably better than you, because it's his environment, it's not your home, it's his home. They probably know much better which machines or which role have the machine inside the company, or who is the best main contact to get access to a tool or resource inside the company. So it's so important to be in constant communication with the customer, exchanging which data you found in your investigation. If you know how to do an easy enterprise incident response, you will love this job. It's so good. If you love travel, and you love know people, and being in other places all the weeks, this probably is your desired job. Okay. So let's go to the situation on I arrived to the company, and the customers, and I asked to the customer, hey, can you give me some logs about the last 3 months? I want to see 3 months before the incident, what happened in the company. And the customer, that they probably don't know which log is the log that contains the useful information. They probably will give you a folder with, I don't know, few gigabytes, or also in some investigations I had 1 terabyte of raw text of logs to analyze, and you don't know the pain that is to get some conclusion, and you can't investigate that doing simple grabs or cat or AWK inside the log. So you need to use other tools, and the idea is that you are familiar with some of them. So depending of the case, you probably will have some multiple input logs, and you can find logs about Acunetics scannings on the web servers. You can have Metasploit even logs inside Windows. You can have Nmaps fingerprinting inside the different computers and firewalls inside the company. You can see some PowerShell executions inside the network, because all the people love use PowerShell every day. And the idea is you need to correlate this information, because the attackers, they probably will use some web hacking tools to exploit the remote server. They will use some PowerShell to do lateral movement inside the company. They probably use Nmap inside and outside the company to know which ports are opened to outside. They will use other tools to gain access or to get privilege, like Mimikatz or other tools. So the idea is you need to correlate this information, and it doesn't make any sense to analyze all of these logs in a separate way. So the idea is, I put this as an example. Is probably not the tool that all the incident response consultants use, but it's a tool that I used in the past, and I think it's useful if you need to analyze a lot of logs, and you can have correlations and other enrichment data as well with Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana for the visualization. So let's take this example. We have different input sources, and in my case, I have some Logstash configuration that are able to parse all of this information. And the idea is you need to prepare this before you go to the incident. So it doesn't make any sense to start to create some parsers. You find a custom block, you need to create a parser in the same moment. But a parser for MySQL, a parser for Acunetics, a parser for Nmap, a parser for information server, a parser for Apache. You need to create all of these parsers before. It doesn't make any sense to spend the time in the investigation creating the parsers. So the idea is you have all multiple input sources. You analyze or you parse this information with Logstash. The Logstash sends and needs this information in Elasticsearch, and you later use Kibana to show the results. The idea with Elasticsearch, you can integrate some third-party tools like VirusTotal or other vendors to enrich the data. You found an IP, you can check with VirusTotal the related hashes, the malicious URLs, another threat information that could be useful for your investigation. Imagine that you found an IP that is related with a common hacking group, and because you studied these hacking groups, you know that the next steps will be compromise the different Active Directories, or I don't know, maybe start to get confidential data from the high BP people inside the company. So depending on the motivations and the groups behind the attack, you can identify them based on the patterns that you found inside the logs. You probably are pretty near to get a conclusion and the next step that you need to do to stop these bad people. So the idea after parse all of this information and get the contextual information and you have all the information in a same place, correlated with different input sources, and Kibana it's a good visualization tool that can help you to have an eagle eye. I love this word, eagle eye. You can easily, with a simple mouse, start to filter for different time frames. I remember a case when I had a forensic investigation in the past, and one friend of mine, we exported the FLS directory of a hard drive, and he indexed it on Elasticsearch, and with the time frame, he go to the around the date of the incident, and he extracted which was the incident, which will be the reason about why the guys compromised this with CERBER. And I want to say with that with Kibana you can easily filter, and you don't need to work in the visualization part, and you can correlate information. It is the most interesting area, and you can create dashboards for your team, and your team can collaborate and apply queries, and you can extract some intelligence from these dashboards. After you have the logs, you are in the forensics part, and you need to acquire some data from the different servers. You probably will need to analyze some memory dumps. And the idea is you have a lot of memory dumps, and you need to easily get the contextual information, and you need to know if the machine is compromised or not. Instead of spend the time doing some super hacking stuff and be super cool, trying to analyze the memory and use volatility recall or other tools to do that, I always, in the training that I did in the past, I show the people how to easily know if the machine is compromised or not. And you don't need to send any sample to VirusTotal, because at the end, if it's a private investigation, don't send the samples to VirusTotal or other third parties, because if not, the customer will kill you. So the idea is you need to know if the machine is compromised or not. You can easily do that just scanning all the process in the memory dump, dumping all the process into your machine, getting the file fingerprinting, extracting the hash value of these files, and checking with third-party tools like VirusTotal, but just scan, checking the hash. You don't need to send the sample to VirusTotal. If the sample is unknown to VirusTotal, at the moment it's good for you. And the sample is malicious, tagged by VirusTotal or other tools, is good for you as well, because you have contextual information. So the idea is try to get as much fast information that you need. And you don't need to spend hours and hours using volatility and recall to extract information from a memory dump. You need to go to the information that you need on this moment, and you need to know, in my case, with this example, if the machine is compromised or not with a malware tool. With this simple one-liner, and you can see it's so easy. It's a simple for command that extract the MD5 of the files in one folder, and with a script check the results on VirusTotal. And you can use the free API key. You don't need to spend a lot of money in the premium API key if your company don't have that possibility. So the idea is you need to know only if the sample is malicious or not. You can check VirusTotal, Harvard analysis, or other tools to know if the sample was submitted by someone before. After I speak this part, I want to show some example about some special methods used by malware. This probably is quite old, but could be a good example if the people are not aware about that. So these are some, and I want to put in bold these words, some of the methods used by the malware to evade automatic analysis and to try to difficult the analyst to get to some contextual information. So you can see how for example, we have a campaign that comes from CERBER, and this CERBER malware have had a campaign in the past that uses an Office file with a password. And we know that some of the vendors in the market say that they can analyze malware files inside the emails, and you can automate, send files to these systems, and they can analyze the file and get the different indicators of compromise. And the idea is, and the people behind CERBER ransomware started to use this method because they know that these tools exist, because they are not stupid people, of course. So they know that the companies are applying these devices inside the network, so they put a simple method that is protect the Office file with a password, and they also include the password on the same email, so the people that receive the email can open the file, extract the file, and the email says, hey, you want to see the content, copy and paste this password inside the dialog box and open the document. And the document contains a macro that starts a second stage payload inside the machine. So at the end, we have the same, but with a previous step. We have the password protection to evade automatic analysis. And also, the people started to, or the bad guys started to use uncommon files, for example, .iso files, .Microsoft Publisher, and also .ace, and also WinRAR. The idea is to use uncommon file types to try to evade automatic analysis systems like MTA or other sandbox in the market. And also some campaigns also they are only targeting one specific country inside the planet. So if you are not in Australia, you can open the malicious file. Well, you will not be infected because the loader will check where are you located based on the public IP. You don't be infected by a malware. So that's a good method as well to only target the campaign to specific countries, because maybe I remember the last year with in Spain when the people started a campaign targeting Endesa, I think, and they were checking about some location as well. So the people the bad guys were focused exclusively in Spain because they used a Spanish brand. So the idea is they wouldn't have people from outside Spain because they have other campaigns targeting these people. So this is an example of CERBER, and you have this dialog box that asks the password for the user, and this password is on the same email on the user opening the attachment, so they only need to copy and paste the password from the email and paste it in the dialog box to open the document. After that, if the user don't put the password inside the dialog box, we check the process list inside the machine. You will see how there is only one WinWord process inside the machine. Why? Because the document doesn't start the second stage payload because the user didn't activate because they don't put the password. But if the user put the password inside the dialog box, we will see how the win word as a child process. We can see VBA's execution, and this VBA is executed by WB script, and this WB script will download additional malware from outside. And the idea is the bad guy tries to protect the final malware payload because they don't want to, that the people capture the final malware and send the malware to the AV vendors to create signatures or the different endpoint protections. So the idea is they put like difficult steps, like for example, put a simple password inside the document. So let's go to take also, because I want to put this example, because some people that works in the incident response area that come from the police, they always say to me, hey, I'm not a malware analysis expert, I don't know how to do reverse engineer, and only to these people I gave the same advice. You don't need to be a super expert. We have people inside the team to do that. But if you found a malware inside the company, you need to know how to execute simple tools to extract information about the malware, and you don't need to be a super expert. And this is an example about a ransomware that I found in the past, and it's a good example because the sample is not protected by a packet or other custom protection, and have the strings in clear, and you can use some tools to get contextual information about what is the malware doing, and you don't need to execute the malware, but we will do a dynamic execution. So let's have this example. As you see in the screen, it's a ransomware that is claiming to have the decryption key to recover the files in the system, and we execute PStudio to get some of the strings inside the malware, and you can see some references to to an external website, and it's an FTP location and some path locations as well inside the operating system, and you can start the conclusion that this FTP is malicious, and you need to block this FTP. And we don't open it either Pro, Binary Ninja, Radar, or other tool to extract that. We did a simple strings and used PStudio as a free tool to do incident response or to help you in an incident response investigation. And if we execute the tool, we can see, I don't know if you can see well the image, but the image shows connections to the remote host. So when the sample starts, the sample will start to do some connections to this malicious host. So if you block, theoretically, if you block this FTP URL remotely, I mean in your company, all the people infected inside the company with this malware will be protected. So this is like a simple step that you can do to protect the users inside your network. And you don't need to, again, I want to say that again, you don't need to open either Pro or Radar to do that. It's like a simple strings with a malware sample. You can investigate a bit what is the malicious host behind that, and you can use simple tools like call or check the reputation with third parties, and you can do other stuff to know which is this host behind this URL you found inside the sample. So you don't need to know about custom stuff or other things. And you want to go a bit deeper inside in the malware behavior. Anyone in the room can say which is the username and password used to exchange file between the malware and the FTP sample. Any volunteer? It's so clear, guys. It's in the screen. So as you see in the image, I know some people want to reply. I will not let them to do it. But you see the image. You can see how it's circled with a red line, which are the username and password used by the malware. And in my investigation, I promised that I didn't do any mid interception, SSL decryption, or other stuff like that. I simply captured the traffic with Wireshark, and I extracted the the connection between the sample and the FTP. I know some people in the room can say, okay, Mark, this is a stupid sample. It's impossible to find that in a real investigation. Well, guys, it's better to analyze the data before and start to see some movies and stuff like that. They go to analyze the data. I found this sample in an investigation, okay? So it's a very old investigation, but this sample was in a real case. So I want to say with that first analyze that, because the people behind the attack could be super high people or script kiddies at the end. So with that, they bought the tool, or they know the methods, and they know how to use red teaming operations. But at the end, they are not aware about malware or the stuff, and they only use the ransomware to do extortion from the company, for example. And could be that the samples are ciphered with a short key, a static key, or other stuff like that that can be. And the serious people can decrypt these samples and get the real data without paying. So I want to say with that before I start to thinking about, hey, this could be a super APT sample or whatever, analyze the sample, do a simple triage, and get some strings and some network traffic, and see in reality what is behind the malware piece that you found. And with this example, it's good because you can see with a simple Wireshark capture what is the data behind or which are the credential exchanges from the malware to the malicious host. Before I arrive to the questions area, I will not reply if I finally enter it in the FTP, in the remote FTP, and capture the data. Okay, that's private. But someone in the room can think that it's so easy if you see the credentials to see, hey, what did the people capture it? How many people is infected by this malware? So if we continue with the analysis, this is a DN Spy tool that I use to analyze .NET samples. And you can use other tools. You can use, this Visual Studio, I don't know, IDA Pro, Binary Ninja, rather. I don't care about the tools. I care about which information they can give me, so I will use any of them. We need to stop about to fight about which is the best tool in the market, okay? Just use it and contribute them. So this is an example about how easily with this sample I can get information about, and this is the idea that I give also to the people that are not pretty aware about how to do malware analysis. And the idea is you open the .NET sample with these tools, and you can easily browse to the different sections inside the binary, and you can get important information. And you will see how the credentials are stored in clear text inside this binary tool analysis. So let's go to jump inside the analysis, and you can see that if you browse a bit inside the analysis, you can extract, for example, the ransom node used for the sample. And you can, for example, create a YARO rule with the ransom node content and scan all your network with this YARO rule and trying to find some other machines compromised. And you don't need to create a signature. You can use, for example, a simple YARO rule. And of course, you need to use an endpoint solution. And for example, a guy from Málaga created a tool called Rastreador. And this Rastreador can be used to scan a Windows network. It's a tool coded in Python, and it's open source. It's in GitHub, and you can use it to scan the memory and the files with YARO rules. And it's a guy from Málaga, so hello. It's open and accessible to everyone in internet because it's open source. So you want to contribute, it's on internet to do it. And with this YARO rule, as I said, you can scan your network. And this is the content of the ransom node. And also you can, spend hours and hours reading code and trying to understand what is the malware doing. If you are not a reverse engineer and you don't have the interest to learn that, don't do that. Try to find just the interesting strings that you need for the investigation, like the remote URL, the credentials used, maybe the algorithm used to cipher the files, and other stuff that you need to know to analyze the malware and give the sample to the correct people. And these some of the phases that they saw in the past when I started to teach the people how to analyze malware. And I always did the same questions to all the people in the room. You see a lot of code. It's hard on the start. And I say, no way. You need to start to learn, and you need to only read the code and extract only the necessary stuff that you need. So let's take an example. For a simple ransomware analysis, you can extract which is the IV vector, and you can understand how is the key used to cipher the files. And you don't need to be a super guru expert. It's only understand how is the code based, and you only need some basic programming skills. You want to say that. So we can extract some of this part, and also you can copy this portion code text and share this text with other people inside your team, and they can help you to understand if the algorithm used to cipher the files is a strong algorithm or not. We have the people behind malware hunting team and ID ransomware that is all the time breaking all the new ransomwares based on hidden tier, for example. And that's because hidden tier or other ransomware families, they are using weak algorithms to cipher the files, and they know, and they created some tools to recover the files. So I want to say with that just read the code, try to understand what is important or not, and extract this portion text. And for example, with this big screenshot, you can see highlighted in yellow the URL used that we saw before, and we saw before this URL with the simple strings. And imagine that the guy doesn't know how to use PStudio, or the guy never used strings. The guy can open the file with DNS-Spy because the guy saw the tool in a Marc conference in the past, and they know that if he starts with DNS-Spy, because the tool have a search box, and you can do stuff like give me all the URLs that start with HTTP, or give me all the .com domains. The guy can browse the code and use some different searches inside the code and extract a reference like that. And on the tool, on the screenshot, we can see the exact location, the exact remote location on the malware will copy the files. And also we can extract as well the credentials used, and we don't need to do any reverse engineer in from the malware. So it's as much easy as extract that information. And it's so easy to do that. So after analyze the code, we can see, for example, that the sample is doing some remote public IP checks. And this is so important because some people forget that we can go to the different proxy servers inside the company and say, hey, give me all the machines that contacted with this URL, IP, or domain that I found on this malware analysis. And with that, we can see, or we can extract the conclusion that in how many machines was executed the sample. So and we don't need to spend the time doing a lot of hunting inside the network, doing Yara role hunting, or I don't know, executing super PowerShell programs that you coded for the investigation. It's just check the logs and give me how many computers contacted with these artifacts that I found. We do that. We can see, or we can understand that the ransomware is doing FTP connections to a remote server, and all of this information, because I don't want to repeat myself, all of this information can be easily found just reading the code. You don't need to be a super expert. After found different artifacts related to network connections or something like that, if you have, for example, access to virus total intelligence, you can say, hey, give me how many samples contacted with this IP, or which information you have in your records related to samples that contacted with this IP. And also, because you can easily have that with the free version, if you want to know from which countries was the sample submitted, or you want to know how many times was submitted, or the different malicious URLs that the VirusTotal saw in the wild, you need to have a more privileged account. So I want to say with that ask for the company to have access to these tools if they can give you, because they can give you more contextual information, and at the end is what you need to arrive to the conclusion about which people is behind it, or if the campaign is something that is only targeting you, or is a campaign that is massively affected to other countries. Imagine that I checked this IP and I found samples around the world in the last week. This means that it's only a campaign only targeting you? No, right? It's a campaign that is targeting massively all the world, and you don't need to be as much worried. You need to apply patches, and you need to apply countermeasures in front of the incident that you found. But you don't need to be like super worried about if a super APT group is behind your company. So it's just get contextual information, get motivations, and just spend the time in what is needed or not. And if you finally get to the conclusion that your sample or your IP have relationship with a specific malware family, you can prepare the necessary defenses inside your network to be protected. Imagine that the sample is, for example, we had a conversation during the lunch about WannaCry and how WannaCry targeted different companies around the world, and especially one company in Spain. And WannaCry, one of the methods used was scan the network and apply some exploits to cipher the machine. And if we found a tool like WannaCry inside the network, we can prepare or try to study which vulnerabilities is WannaCry trying to exploit, and we can apply fast patches inside the network or at the end apply some blocks with firewalls and other tools inside your network, because at the end, as an incident response consultant, you will know, probably not the first day, but you are in the company 2, 3, 4 days, you will know which security devices or protections have the company available to use. So the idea is, you get contextual information about what is the sample doing, you can apply countermeasures using those security devices. So that is the idea, to know you can discover which is the malware behind a specific IP, for example. And related to Yara hunting, because I'm so fan about Yara, and I think it's a binary search tool or pattern search tool that can be used to a lot of stuff. And I saw people that use Yara hunting not only to analyze malware, they use Yara to analyze pickups, memory dump, dropped files, and also as a product classification tool in a file system monitor, for example. So depending of your use case, Yara could be a good tool that could be a good use case for you. At the end, you can define unique strings and conditions, and the conditions could be the size of the file, or which strings needs to be matched first. So depending, or as well, they can work with, for example, if you are doing Yara rules for scan PE files, you can import the PE library, and you can use specific formats or conditions related to PE files. So depending a bit of your use case, you can use Yara for one of these use cases. And I love a project that I found in a private list, and the project is available on GitHub as well. And it's a pastebin hunter using Yara rules. And I found some campaigns that the second stage payload is a binary, it's a encoded base 64 binary inside pastebin, and the malware grab this base 64 binary, decodes locally, and execute inside the system. And this is so good because if you are in an investigation and you see a pastebin URL, you aren't probably much aware about what is the page been doing. And in this case, the bad guys stored the malicious binary encoded in base64 inside the page bin, and the malware grabbed this base64 binary and encoded binary and decoded locally and executed, compromising the machine. And this is a good example about how the guy behind this project, he created some YARA rules to find malicious samples stored in pastebin, and he created a use case, and with the tool you can easily launch all the information that you found to Elasticsearch, and with Kibana he's filtering and extracted some valuable information about the malicious data found in pastebin. And well, I finished the talk. I don't know if you guys have any question or comment, you like it or not. I'm here, I have some seconds. Any question? Well, one question. Do you have any mic for him? Or?
I'm here to help you, Mark.
¿Tiene un micro o algo para hacer la pregunta?
Sí. Hello. 55. Hola. Hola.
Hello.
Sí. Estaba con la presión de que no pitara.
Pero te ha faltado contar algo, lo que has desayunado, algo para llegar
You
al 00.
should have said what you had for
Lo que has
breakfast
comido,
so that you were able to speak
thank you, Mark,
within your
for-
time limit.
And go ahead. What's your name? What question do you have for Mark?
Yeah, my name is Adam. You are talking about the response for the incident. So to get better response, always we are talking about the incident reporting. So what kind, do you use any framework or mechanism for incident reporting? So, and after that, what kind of analysis you are doing with this?
Okay, that's a good question, because I think the big vendors in the market, I'm talking about companies like Foundstone, Mandiant, this type of company that is doing enterprise incident response, and they have big teams doing incident response. I'm sure they have his own framework to create reporting. So they grab the logs inside the framework, and the framework is doing some magic and created the final report to the customer. So the idea is we have some tools available in the market, and this one called FIR, I think, is on GitHub, and it's an incident response open source tool created by some European cert, I think. And it's a framework that you can define different TLPs for investigations. You can upload different artifacts. You can do some incident response tracking. So the idea is, I don't know any tools. I know that for pen testing, I remember a tool in the past called Dragos or something like that, that can be used to you can use different or upload different hacking tool reports, and you can create a Word document with the active scan it and so on. But for incident response, I don't know any professional tool to create reporting, but I know some of them to do, for example, incident response tracking. And your different consultants can upload different artifacts and information found, and FIR can correlate this information. And also, for example, we have crits in the market that can be used as well to upload artifacts, and also crits have connections with different third-party tools like VirusTotal, ThreatCrit, Palo Alto, and can give the analyst more information. But to create specifically the report, I don't know any tool yet. Maybe it's a good moment to create the tool and exchange with the community.
That's a challenge. Any more questions on the floor? No? So have a good trip to Barcelona, back to Barcelona. Thank you for your conference, Mark.
Welcome.
Thank you for being here. And we will be back at 5:30. I have to tell you that right now Estonia is in the first place. Spain is second. I don't know who's third, but I know Estonia and Spain, ESES, are first and second. So at 5:30, we'll be here with the captains of the teams. We will discuss with them how's the competition going on, and later we'll give the prizes to every one of them. ¿Has pasado por ahí? ¿Has visto cómo va?
No.
Have you seen them? Oh, of course. No, this is a private thing, so of course you were not able to go what they are doing at the moment.
One of the stuff anyone, so.
No, not now. Now their concentration is like points. Recta final. Bueno, Marc, thank you. Thank you. See you at 5:30, okay? Big applause for Marc Rivero. Hasta luego, Marc.
Hello.